I trade as AMCOG, which is a name based on something my friend came up with. Ambiguous contrasts games. I've done about 20 or so games on RISC OS, and I develop on RISC OS itself, and then I port it to other things if I want to. So I find RISC OS more fun to develop on. I prefer it to be the source operating system that I'm creative upon. And I've added technology to it, such as the virtual sound chip, which I'm working on making improvements to based on requests. I'm also developed a development kit which I'm trying to extend and help make it more friendly. You know, maybe I should do something like just talking about having a kind of a visual version mode in there, where if you weren't a programmer, you could just drag things around and edit it, and it would configure a game for you. And I think that'd be quite good fun. So I think I'll put that in the backlog to do, because I've done experiments with that in the past. So yes, 20 games. So I should mention that today I've put discounts on. We've got 10 new levels in MockTops and new tools. If anyone wants the code for level 31, where you've got the new features, then I'm happy to give that. In fact, if anyone wants code for any level or any help, then they can always contact me anyway. But I've knocked some money off on all the puzzle games today for the mug show. So if anyone fancies it, and they haven't got one, then it's there to tempt you. So yes, 10 new levels. I've got some new tools. I've got magnets, crumbling floors, downward drills. It's easier for me to add things in. Maybe I'll do a MockTops 2, where we've got, I add further things if there's interest. And that's partly also because I want to distribute it on other platforms as well. It's always would look like a tablet type of game. But I'm going to RISC OS first, so we get it here first, basically, because I find that much easier. To develop on and be creative. My phone's ringing away, so always turn it off. So we've got a 3D Pingo recently. We'll have a little look at that. That's our 20th game. I'll just turn that down. And then we've got, I mentioned I've used RISC OS to develop on. I'm going to talk a little bit about that and explain how I approach it. I'll talk about what's coming next, and also about the music tracker as well. I'll come over a bit of the research that I'm doing, and also I've got something I wasn't expecting to put in, which is introducing as someone I'd like to say hello, which I'll bring on later. So MockTops, it may not be obvious, but I was actually inspired to write MockTops by watching my daughter play Magic Mushrooms on the BBC Micro. She was editing the levels, dragging ladders around and various things in there, and I thought, well, that would be fun to do it in the game itself. And I thought, well, after various possible designs that Sim and I discussed, I ended up doing something based on lemmings. Now, it's called MockTops because my boss had a sense of humor, I had at the time, and because of the hair, he sort of thought I looked a bit like Paul McCartney or something. And obviously I do a bit of music, so he used to say, "How are you doing? You love a mop top or whatever." So I thought, well, that'll work. I'll call the game MockTops. Like I'm making it look like a little sort of mop. That's easy to draw. Now we've got 40 levels. Another thing that's mentioned to me is my games need more levels. I've also said updates are always free, so I'm going to be adding levels to some other games as well. I want to do Scuba Hunter, which is my Reptom-like puzzle game, as maybe the next one, because that has 10 levels, and I thought, I was playing it the other day, I thought it would be fun to add some more things to it. So MockTops was the very first game that used the virtual sound chip, RDSP. I originally released it in 2016, and I'll show you, if the technology works, it running on Windows as well, so you can have a sense of how that looks. It's the same code underneath. It wasn't too hard for me to port it, and that's because I have a development kit. So the development kit enables me to abstract away from the RISC OS APIs and calls and make it run basically on anything. It was quite a basic translation because it's basically was a descendant of Dark Basic that I'm using on these other devices by a small British company. So more MockTops. We've got 10 more levels. We've got magnets. You can see here they suck the MockTops up or draw them up. You've got crumbling floors, which disappear the more they walk over them. And I've got a downward drill, and that made it just easier for me to come up with new designs and make it fun. I didn't want it to feel like it was too repetitive all the time. I want to create as much variety as I can. That's the other important point. A lot of modern games seem to have the pattern where you have to go through one path to a solution. And one thing I think is really important is you should be able to solve something in multiple ways. A user-friendly system always is forgiving and lets you do things in a different way. You have the odd challenging part, but it shouldn't all be just one solution. I can jump you to level 31 if you ask for a code. I think I would do a Mop Tops too if there was interest. And there is going to be some more levels, are going to be some more levels for Scuba Hunter. Star Mine, I've been working on Windows. It's available in Steam as an enhanced version with more levels and features. I want to port some of them back to RISC OS, develop it further, make the game bigger, maybe have it as a Star Mine too. I might do a free update also against the existing game, but I want to keep developing and making it a more interesting thing. And again, it helps to advertise RISC OS in that game. When people see it, they see RISC OS logos and they understand where it came from. So I'm using this as a way of advertising. This is a good place to be creative, basically, and be a bit different. So on Pingo, that evolved from a BBC Micro game that was inspired by the adventure game on the BBC, which I used to really like. There was a vortex at the end of it. I'll show you a little picture with an appropriate copyright underneath in a moment. So you have to collect the sky jewels and avoid so-called smugs, clods, bobs, brushes, and fuzz. The game's quite silly. I tried to make it slightly less silly before I released it. So I had a little bit of something in there to make it not too much. You can catch them all with a cage at the moment. Again, some there'll be an extension of this at some point. I might put more power-ups in. And it was our latest title released at Wakefield. And this is what it looks like. So you've got this rather odd-looking cartoon character. And this is you. And you can, when you've collected all the jewels, you leave by the door. And it scrolls sort of left and right, basically. So it started with this sort of vortex that goes over this grid. I biro sketches. I have older versions of this. And what I do is I incrementally replace to evolve an idea. So I start with one idea, I take elements out, bring new elements in, and that enables me to end up somewhere completely different. So it's like nothing that what I started with. And then and it was an original idea. It's a way to get a lateral thing working. It's like, this sort of non-ethics specific whispers game that children play, if I can call it that now. On the graphics, obviously it was on BBC Micro, very basic. This is on bbcmicro.co.uk. It is a full game. When it was downloaded from my website, the instructions were an HTML page. So one day I might ask if I can upload the instructions as well. But it's it's not bad. It's not a great game, but it's okay. And as you can see, I had to go from an 8-bit sort of pixelated graphic. I basically ended up, this is about version 5 of the image, but I ended up drawing a hand-drawn image, scanning it, and I then applied techniques to animate it. Actually, I'm doing low frequency waves across it to make it shimmer. So it's a bit like, I don't know, the Red Bull animation style, or rhubarb and custard, or Aubrey, all those things. It sort of shimmers rather than just being static, which is more fun. And Sophia's suggestion was to put sunglasses on the little ball. I put trainers on it, so it was a little less basic. I just drew that on a graphics tablet. It seemed to work reasonably well. So 3D Pingo, all my games in the development kit use text data, a flat text file with letters in it. I expand it to a 3-dimensional map. I have 1 to 9 selects platform level. This square bracket selects platform 1 and 9. And there's a few others. So it kind of just, blows it up, and then I can then track them as 3-dimensional blocks rather than 2-dimensional blocks. So it's a similar bit of code. So I had hand-drawn, scanned, and animated, as I mentioned, combined with digital artwork. I'm attempting to extend the development kit to contain some simple 3D routines, as an example. 3D can be a little bit confusing, so I'm trying to hide that away as much as possible. And that, again, creates more opportunities for people to do something different and do a 3D game, for example. So this is what the level data looks like. I'll look at it in context in a minute. This is level 1. You've got stairs going up to the left. So it sends 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, level 7. And when I put a jewel to collect, that is the 8th letter of the alphabet. And this shows it's supposed to be level 1 and level 9. There's a door somewhere in here as well. And I'll show you in context so you can see a little better. This is the first part. You can see there are two levels, and you can see the stairs going up, and that's what's there. So it means I can edit it. It was actually very easy to edit it this way. Now, if I had a 3D editor, it wouldn't add too much value here because I've got a fixed perspective. The screen scrolls, as I'll hopefully demonstrate later, left and right. You can't rotate it around. So I have not to hide things in the display. So I need to keep it pretty simple. Otherwise, it's very confusing and difficult to play. So I should mention that this is a screen capture, which I'll hopefully be able to show you a bit of later. This is MopTops with the same code running on Windows. It runs on my phone. I'm still just adjusting it and making it better. So I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm not going to leave RISC OS behind me or anything. It's much more fun to write on for me. But it's useful to bring people in and to share what I create on it on different platforms. In terms of the code, here's a little fragment of code. On the right, you have the AGK, the app game kit, which is basically very similar code to RISC OS. So you've got stop MP3, you've got fade screen. I put brackets on it. It has limitations. BBC Basic is a bit better in some ways. It has things like matrix transforms in BBC Basic. You can draw triangles. You can't do that in AGK, unfortunately, but annoyingly. You can't pass parameters out of functions in the AGK. But you have got some built-in 3D stuff, which is very helpful with a virtual camera, etc. So that adapting StarMine required some thought, but it was nonetheless, feasible to do it because it had those intrinsic technologies. And speaking of StarMine, this is what the Windows versions look like. If I have time, and there's always a problem, I've got too many things going on, I would like to put a texture mapping routine into a module for RISC OS, and I'd be able to texture map the backgrounds easily. In principle, that's not too hard to write. And yeah, it's running in 720p on RISC OS. Maybe a new version at some point runs on 720p on Windows. I'd like to run on 720p on RISC OS. That was my original intention. But I was concerned whether it caused people problems. So I was cautious about it, but I'd like to do that. I've done it with the Haunted Tower Hotel and 3D Pingo now, and I haven't had too many complaints. Only one person whose TV or monitor didn't cope with it. There's always going to be one or two problems like that. So next game, I'm doing a 3D two-player racing game. Sort of Outrun. I didn't check the name, but I know it's something like that. There's a Lotus game I used to play years ago. So two-player at least, got a chance to buy like nitrous oxide and other power-ups, and it was suggested to me a replay feature. I think I'd like to add that to record what people are doing, and I think it would be fun to watch the race over again. So I will certainly try to put that in. I think I've done something like that before, so I know roughly what to do to make it work. But I don't want to make it too clever in case I was told that other replay features, people get stuck in walls and things like that. I don't want to have that problem because I'll get complaints or questions. Right, and I'm adding a music tracker into RDSP and desktop editor. That's in progress. I'd like to deliver that for London, but I've got so many things spinning. I have to be careful. I have to sleep some of the time. That's probably because I drink too much coffee, actually. I've got a nice coffee machine. It's advertised as being retro style, which is probably why I like it. So I like retro style things. I just had a coffee this morning. So I might say, oh, it's a debugging one rather than my coffee mug. Anyway, I love mugs. As far as my love of coffee, I'm looking at translating bits of RISC OS into C. Very inspired by the Rugel talk recently. Wanted to help to make it more accessible. So I thought if I could do, I was asked to look at it, and I'm certainly having a go at it. I'm not trying to do vaporware, so I dislike that intensely. But I really want to. I'm taking that seriously and putting time into it. Right. So I've got a few demos. I'm trying to keep things carefully to time because I don't want to overrun and cause people problems. So let me stop. I press the escape button. That works. I've got running behind here. Now, when I did this the other day, it ran pretty slowly. So I apologize in advance if this is like watching treacle, but it might be fine with MopTops. What I'm going to do is just check I've shared sound. Oh, you see, I haven't shared sound, so that's easy to forget. Share sound and optimize for video clip. Right, so hopefully it's going to work. And you can all see me still. Someone can say something to check things are working. Can you see the screen all right?
Yes, Tony.
Thanks, because I've lost the little video miniatures. Thank you. Thanks for that. So I'm going to hit this one. Now, the one online, yeah, I can see it. It's not totally happy, but it might be right. I've got proper codes in here, but this version, I put easy codes so that I could remember them and not be looking around for bits of paper. So we'll have a look at a couple of levels. So this is level 31. And I'll just show you a little bit. These are crumbling floors. It's strictly too tight. I won't try and finish the level, I think. Because live demonstrations are a bit tricky. Things usually go wrong. Basically. I'm going to temporarily stop that so I can nab them mopped off and make it more from the floor. Now, I've got two of them. We just see that the floors underneath them. If you have all of them walking on there, look very carefully, you can see it's getting thinner. And if you have enough of them on there, see it nicely on this bit, then obviously if you're not careful, oh, I've got a better one that can demonstrate this sort of crumbliness. Can't remember what all the numbers are, so here we go. This demonstrates it quite well. I'm not going to solve this one, but basically, obviously if you don't let them out, they die. It's a little bit cruel. So going to this level, I can show you the magnets. Obviously they're ferrous, these box iron in them. We've got a downward drill as well, a way to get them up that's a bit different. This is quite an easy one, in theory, so I could very quickly finish this by doing another demonstration. It's just easy if you're not trying to demonstrate it. Trying to demonstrate it. No, the music down there. There you go, you can probably hear me slightly easier. Play it down even more. I get my little downward drill. This is a pretty simple tool. It's supposed to be another one, but I can't see it. Oh, it's already there. Right. Now, if you get bored, you can speed things up. There we go. Oh, this is where things go wrong. I lost one. So that gives you an idea. They've got 10 levels available. These are... Oh, someone said something in the chat. Anyway, I can't see what they've said unless I go out of full screen. So I hope it's not important. I'll just see what that says. It might not even be to me. It might be like, where's the kitchen or something again. Right, I can now out of full screen. It says... Doomsday Clock. Yes, that would have been good. Right, so full screen again. Have a quick look at Pingo. And mindful of the time, I might. There we go. Pingo was the one that ran really slowly when I tried to run it. There we go. So I'll just keep it easy for a while. Anyway. So it's running a bit slower than it should do, but it's usable. You collect these things. So it is a full 3D. Go behind that a little bit there. There we go. Try and avoid this. If you get eaten by him, oh, he's supposed to kill me. I might have the version of them. Still versions on here. I had a little tiny bug early on. It's probably just the fact it's going slow and it's slightly easier. These little characters as well. There is a cage somewhere to travel. There we go. I'll just demonstrate that. That might be enough. But during the day, I've got video clips running where most of my games are run for a few minutes at a time. Oh, that's what happens when you sit there doing nothing. Right. There we go. Get past you. I want to demonstrate the cage. Not just sit there talking. That locks them away for a few minutes. Yeah. And this bit of music, by the way, was done by a friend of mine from university who came up with the name Ambiguous Contrast. And we've recorded on and off since then. So let's quit that because that gives you the general idea. As these video clips are running throughout the day. Oh, not stop share. It won't let me do that anyway. Hopefully you can all still see me. Right, so back to this thing. If I can find out where I am. So I think I'm down here somewhere. That would have been helpful. Right, so what I'm going to do is I've got demos. I don't know where I put this reminder to myself. I'm just going to go and get someone who can just say hello. If I come off, can you hear me?
Yes, Tony, we can hear you.
Thank you. That's quite important. I'm assuming you can see me. I presume it's just it's hidden everything. Just stay there. I'll say hello. You can't see them, unfortunately. But there are people actually there. You can see I've got a chair. Yeah. Right. Because I can't see my camera anymore. So when I went full screen, it almost about 11 people. What happens if I do that? Oh well. Hello. Can you see Sim all right?
Yep.
Hello.
Yeah.
So Sim contributes, has done music since university and contributes music to the games. Mm-hmm. The odd idea for zooming in on mobile. Do you remember that? Zoom. Warp power up. That's what I meant to put you have. Okay. First one I did. That was your idea. Mm-hmm. And you also occasionally brainstorm things. But yeah, there are people there. Oh, right. And I thought it would be nice to Sim is real. He's real. And was it the game music on at the beginning of my Island of the Undead game? Curator is the one. Yeah. It says, no, you don't want to die. I know. We didn't ask him. Could be anyone. What's the other on Star Modding? This one quite a few. Hence the recent one. So the few platform. Which platform one was that one? Yes, that's right. Most recent one. I thought it was perfect, like it was written for it. It wasn't. That was a good bit of arrangement.
Well, when you did it, I think all the time.
Well, it just somehow seems like it's quiescent in a way. I don't know how in Zoom you can make people appear again, but you all disappear. But you are. It might be self-destruct. Well, it should do it automatically. Show video panel. Do you think that might be it?
Maybe.
Number. Oh, yeah, you are visible. You are visible.
Yeah.
You'll appear on a blog or two, I think, as well. But yeah, so yeah, then you could have a go with physicsy stuff because you're
well. I mean, the time and the energy certainly. Yeah, I want to make something which I guess you call a game, but it's more about getting people to do something mechanic, more or less, but in a way that seems like a game, but gradually becomes more and more like doing damn questions and interesting stuff.
Well, there's a few ex-teachers around. And and energy is a problem that we talk about. Time being really difficult. Yeah. The fact that I don't sleep enough, I'm not. And but yeah, as I say, you've got the studio downstairs. Never know, might have a chance to go down. Yeah. Again. But yeah, just thought you're on record. It's real. Do you have anyone have any questions? There you go. See if it works. Is that a no? I don't know. I saw someone's mouth move.
You said at some point you're going to put MIDI into RDSP. I'm guessing that's still not happened.
No. Someone has MIDI. Has a MIDI feature which you can link to it. That's been done. But if someone supplied me that piece of code, I could try and integrate. I was going to put key up so that when people did MIDI, it would actually stop the notes, make the envelope behave.
Right.
I designed that bit of code, but I'm putting a tracker into it, and that'll be there for the end of the year, so you can do it like you used to do on no Optimed. And yeah, it does. I've got it on my PC, or all my PCs. But yeah, I was gonna have it so another way of creating music basically with Moses. So that was what I was gonna do. The MIDI support is the key up, I think, because I think Rick Murray's written some code for that, and you can obviously just trigger what you like on the end of it. I think it's just a bit tricky with the USB to make it to get it work perfectly. But I think rather than reinventing it, if I can steal or borrow or credit from all of that piece of code, then I'll do that, and there'll be another musical input for little loops or whatever as well.
Yeah, you were talking earlier as well about level designers or maybe even a kit to make your own games. I think a lot of people would be interested in that.
Visual, I think a visual thing, we just drag things around and you don't have to write code if you don't want to. Because I like doing that, but it was certainly if I really don't get time to make a game, you should be able to make one in about 10 minutes. Always you got to somewhere. So I will put that in the backlog. But I know how to do it. I've written at university. My project was for a visual graphic UI builder in Linux, which my university lecturer, whose nickname was Boggle, I don't know if you ever met him or not, Patrick Quick. I don't know if he did anything with it after I gave it to him. It was his idea to do that. But basically, you should. All you do is you just have one engine which reads the metadata, which can be a text file, so everyone can read it. That's always better. And then all you do is output where things are, what exists as objects, basically like a task descriptor. You say, here's all the objects, here's all the data, and then it reads it and says, okay, I will now configure myself to run. Oddly enough, I only thought of this from the beginning of this morning. So anyway, that's pretty not too hard to do.
Yeah. Because I must admit, I'm the world's most rubbish basic programmer. So, to get a ladder and someone going up it, that'd be about 3 years, I think, for me. So anything that helps would be greatly appreciated. I'm sure lots of people are in the same situation and they like to think they've created a game and then, they'll try and beat themselves.
Maybe I should prioritize with the tracker. Maybe I should do a priority. So you said you wanted to add something.
Only what you are capable of. You can do more than this level of static.
That's a very good point, Tim. Please remember that because, yes, and then Peter, that would be of interest to you, would it?
Yeah. Just a point here. We can't quite hear your friend's sound, probably because he's sat a bit far back.
Laptop's a bit rubbish.
And the noise cancelling, getting into it. So if you repeat what he says, that would
I'll repeat what he said, but what it was, just because the mic got straight. But basically, suggested I should have not just static objects in a level editor, but I should have platforms that move sideways and timed events and things like that. So it should be kind of event-driven, essentially. That's the way you describe it. And I think that that's a cool idea. So basically, you have it as a kind of a properties thing. And you say, I want this thing to be moving and this thing to come and disappear.
The reason this immediately struck me is that with these like mechanics educational games, like this core element of the interface was like the timeline, so that when someone was just playing them like a game, the timeline would just be moving independently of that. But the point is just to be turning into a thing which you can say stop, pause, go back, insert timed instruction here.
It could help build that, couldn't it? Because I do it in a cross-platform way anyway. So okay, I think that's a good brainstorm there, really. So I feel encouraged that this is probably a useful thing to do, and I could either. How would you feel? Would you feel the right thing to do is for me to put it in the kit? Would it be better off as a separate thing? I'm always open to that, really. I mean, what do we think is better? Because obviously in the kit you can plug it into everything else in there. What do you think, Peter? Have you got a thought on that?
Not really, no. I mean, you've got a lot more programmers there. It might be a better place for that one. I mean, as a non-programmer, anything that helps me think I've made something up, I would tend to buy for a game or whatever, because it just makes it that bit easier. We're sort of like, we know we're not a programmer, but we feel like we are, and that sort of, there's a lot of people at that level,
Well, it is actually programming. It's called, I think it's like a graphical language. So basically you're describing something as a picture rather than words. So, okay, I think it sounds like it might be best as a separate thing, but I'm open to talking about
Well,
that.
if it's a separate thing and we pay you for it, it keeps you happier as well.
Well, it does. But I don't want to feel like I'm not being good value. I think I am good value. I'll give quite a bit away for free.
Yeah, but I think like in the old 8-bit days, there are a number of games creators. I never got round to buying one, but you sort of go, wish I did really, and then I could make my own little corner of the world, And if there was a thing whereby you could resell them under your auspices,
Oh, absolutely. No, I was
developed by whatever, then you get a cut of that as well.
Same with it's a bit difficult with Zoom sometimes, but I know anything you create with that. Same way with the game kit, people can do source code. I want people to own what they make. I don't want to feel people to restrict it. I find that very unhelpful. So I will definitely have a very permissive license. It's yours, and I will claim no right to it. If you go off and make $1 million somewhere with it, then that's yours.
Yeah. If I did that, I would definitely give you some money back.
That was the fun further development. But no, I just feel it's important that people do own what they create. I think it's much like with subscription models where you don't really own it. I think that's wrong. So I'll continue to operate that way. But okay, it encouraged me. I feel that this is what I should do, and I think it's possible. It's something I understand in my mind. I can see how all the bits fit together. It is nothing more effectively than the configuration.
Yeah, I mean, this is a worrying thing for me. I hear all the programmers talking and go, I wish I had like 1/10 of that knowledge. So hats off to all programmers, So.
Visual programming, it is a legitimate kind of programming. It's just not one based on words, really. And I've worked with various people who are either very, very visual, not very visual, very maths oriented, very language oriented. So it's nice to let people be excluded for any reason. So yeah, okay. I feel so I get quite enthusiastic. I will definitely, I will put something on my newsfeed about it, and that will make me feel I'm committed to it. I don't like vaporware, as I said. It's not. I keep delivering multiple things a year for that reason. Are there any other questions? Okay, Thursday. So we've got sort of maybe the right thing to do is we consider it, give people 5 minutes between people chatting. That's all right. The presentation will be running up in and out anyway during the day, unless anyone wants me to demonstrate anything or have got stuck somewhere. In which case, obviously, you can just reach out to me anyway. I'll let people have 5 minutes between the talks. That seems to be fine. So thanks for coming along and saying hi to Tim. Take it easy. Bye.